Hello everybody, this is Sherry at djsundry.blogspot.com, and today I have a fun project for you. It's one that I'm doing for swap over at crafthappens.net. Now, I have to tell you, this is a swap that's full of first for me, and so let's just get started and I'll show you what we're making. And it's been a fairly quick project to come together and I'm really loving it. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to be needing is some of this gorgeous yellow sunflower ribbon from 3 Girl Jam. I'm just going to set that aside. I have this pretty cellophane bag, and this is just to package up my little creation later. I have from Die Cuts with a View, I have the Autumn Melody, not medley, matte stack, and this is just gorgeous paper. This is the paper I'm actually using, but this is just paper. I picked it up at my local Joann's, and it's just a beautiful set of paper. And it's all autumn, no Halloween, just autumn in that one. Then I have, you may remember seeing this before. This is from last month's swap, and it's something that I received in a swap, but I wanted to use some of this really pretty autumn colored lace, so we'll set that aside. I have some ribbon here that I'm using from Gifts International. That's where the clear cellophane bag was from as well. I have some red line tape that I used. I have these leaves from Recollections, as well as these flowers from Recollection. And then from K. Andrew Designs, I have the Following set. Now, all of this is going to come together and it's going to make a little project. So let's get started. I'm also going to be using several distress inks, and so this is what I'm making. I'm going to pull this little piece over here, and you might say, what in the world is this? Well, this is actually a coin holder. This one, particular one, is for quarters. And what I did, the reason it's white, is I wanted some of that quarter stuff to lightly come through. You can see it better on the back because it's the perfect fall color. And so I took the red line tape and I put it across the bottom to do to hold it together across the bottom. So I've already got that sealed. Now the challenge was at Craft Happens to make a something with a coin holder. It didn't have to be a quarter one. It had to be either in a fall or a Halloween theme, and you could make whatever you wanted. And they gave some ideas, and one of the ideas they had were for these little sour cream containers out of this. Now the catch was, if you were making a sour cream container, then you needed to fill it with some type of goodie. So rather than taping it on the top, I've already prepped it by putting a hole in the top, and I just used my a hole punch and punched a hole in it so it's ready to go. So I've already put gesso on it, so you can see just a hair of that quarter coming through, that little bit of orange. And then what I'm going to do is I have 3 different colors of distress inks. Now the colors that I've chosen are from the Tim Holtz Fall Distress Seasonal Palette. And so this one is the Gathered Twigs, and I'm just lightly going around it. Now I know normally I come from the outside in. This one I really don't care. I'm just wanting it to look like fall. Now I'm going to set the Gathered Twigs aside because I'm going to use that one again. And then I'm going to grab my Ripe Persimmon, and again inking both sides. Now the first one, we were supposed to make 5 of these, and the first ones that I did weren't inked quite as darkly as what this one is, just because my pad hadn't been used in a while and it wasn't quite as saturated. And then I'm going to come in with just a hint of Seedless Preserves. And I have to say, last fall when these came out was really the first time I had ever really thought of putting the purple with the orange for a fall color. But let me tell you, when you put them all together, it really is a beautiful fall palette. And now I'm seeing purple a lot in the fall, and people are using it for Halloween, but it's just not something that I really would have thought of. I think I'm going to come in a little bit with a little bit more of the orange here, or the persimmon, and bring that in. So that's the first step of my card. Just wipe that off and get a dry one here because I don't want it smeared all over. Okay, so this is the front of my card, or my little ice cream container. And I've already taken a very small piece of that ribbon, or that trim that I showed you, it's not really ribbon, and we're going to use Glossy Accents to adhere all my bulky items. So we're going to start here and just put a little bit of that ribbon or that trim down, right down there. It's just a really nice match for the persimmon. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out my Gathered Twigs again, and from that K. Andrew Design set, the only stamp that I'm going to use is the word fall. I love fall, and I know I've mentioned that on the blog just recently. I just have really, the last probably 3 or 4 years, I hate to say it's become my favorite season, because I still love spring. But at this point it's kind of a toss-up. I just feel like I'm ready for a nap or something. I don't know, but the air, even it's I can't explain it, but even the air is pretty. So I've just stamped my fall using that twig, the Gathered Twigs Distress ink. And if you notice, you probably don't see because I'm off camera, but I store my distress inks, and I'm trying more and more to store all my inks upside down, just because it helps improve the longevity of it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in my leaves here. Now, when I was choosing my flowers, I don't really have a Michael's in my town. The Michael's is about 30 miles away is the closest Michael's, and I don't make it to the city very often. And so I decided, well, I better grab yellow because I'm really not sure how it's all going to come together. So that's why I chose these yellow flowers. And this is the first introduction of yellow really into the palette. And so I wanted to pull in some of those leaves that had some of the same color. It's in the same family, but definitely not the exact same color as having the yellow. And this is actually a lighter one. Some of the other ones I made were a little bit darker because it came in 3 different colors. You see one here is a deeper yellow. And so that's where we have our yellow in there. And so to mimic that, that's why I chose the sunflower yellow for the top. Okay, so there is the start of our decorations. Now we're not quite done, but I want to show you what I'm doing on the inside. Now I said this was a project full of firsts for me. Well, the first was making ice cream, or not ice cream, I'm sorry, sour cream containers. I've never made sour cream containers, even though I've seen them before. I've never made them. So that's the first. The second first was using coin wrappers, something else I haven't done. The third first is I made my first set of stick pins ever today. And that's part of this project. And I'm using it in 2 different ways. Remember I said that there needs to be a treat inside of these since I chose to make the sour cream container? Well, that is for the treat. I am going to put one of these stick pins. Now I have these makeup wedges. These are just, I don't know if these are even still something you can get. This is something I've had for probably 15, 20 years. I'm sure you can still get them, just they may look a little bit different. They're just makeup applicator wedges, and I use them for inking or sometimes, but I've cut them 1 or 2 of those apart, and I'm using that to put my pin in on the inside. It still could come through and poke, but I figure every little extra effort we make to keep it from poking somebody, the better. So I'm just going to put that inside and could just kind of cram that down inside a little bit. On some of them it kind of peeks through, and that's okay. And then the other part of the treat that I'm doing is I cut this ribbon, and this is just ribbon that's all 1/4 inch ribbon. I've got some toffee and just some dark brown, and this one's called Willow. and I cut about 18 inches. I wanted to give a full yard of each color, but it seemed like it was going to make it too full inside. So I'm just kind of wadding it up in a ball so I can fit it all in there and just kind of cramming it in. Now if a little bit peeks out the top, I'm really okay with that because it'll just add to the decoration. So there's a mimic of this yellow here. And then I'm going to use my 3 Girl Jam sunflower trim. I'm going to run that through the holes. Maybe. Going to try. Cut a little at an angle. So there we go. This is such a small little container that when you have chubby fingers like I do, it's sometimes difficult. So then we're going to just tie it into a bow. Just like so. And tie it off. Isn't that pretty? I made an extra one for me, and this is where you remember to really pay attention to what you're doing. The extra one I made for me, I was looking at it and I hadn't stuffed it. I did it upside down. So the stuffing is actually in the bottom. So it's not one that I could really use for a sour cream container anyway, but it still works. I guess I could if you were putting something permanent, or probably what I will do for myself is just stuff it with something just so you get the look and the feel. So there's our little container. Now I made an extra pin on each of these to tuck down inside here. So again, I'm going to use my glossy accents. It probably, I don't know how well it would stay on its own, but the glossy accents really sticks well to the pin. And then I'll just hold it there for a minute, and there we have our little sour cream container out of a coin wrapper that says fall, and with my little stick pin. Now if this falls apart, or if they want to take it apart and pull out the pin, then they'll have 2 stick pins to use. So that is my container. Now let me show you how I plan to package it. I'm going to set this one aside so that it can dry. And I've got one that's more dry. It's been done. And as you see, I've got different colors of leaves and stuff. And the glossy accents on that is just about dry. And that's when I'm going to pull out these clear cellophane bags. Part of the presentation of something like that is in the packaging, which of course I like, but that's also one of the requirements of the 3 Girl Jam is that it's all packaged up nicely. So I'm just going to grab my tiny attacher from Tim Holtz. It's got plenty of staples in it. And I cut little strips of that pretty paper. There's probably a glare between the lights and the foil on the paper. But there's probably a glare, but I cut it just the exact same width of the bag. I don't want it to be a big topper. Normally I would do a wider topper than this, but I wanted to first of all be able to get 2 of them out of the width of the paper. And second of all, I don't want to take too much from the little tree inside. So that's going to be how I'm going to package it. Now when I'm done, another thing that I'll do is on the back side I'll come in with a plain sheet, and I will put my name and my blog name and my YouTube name. So there we have our little packages. So there is a fun little project, and you know, you don't have to have the actual coin wrappers to get out and do these. If you wanted to do it with paper, this is the 1/4 size, and so you see how wide it is here, and it is, I can turn my, it is 1.5 inches wide by almost 4 inches long. So if you wanted to make your own, you could just double that and double that to 3 inches wide and fold it out of your own pattern paper and make your own. So there's a good idea, a little treat, a little fun thing, maybe for, how about a Thanksgiving dinner? Wouldn't that look pretty as a party favor at your Thanksgiving dinner table? So there's some an idea to use that for. So thanks for stopping by today, and remember to take time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day.